Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 10th of February, 2025. Coming up this episode of the Cresting Up Podcast, episode 338, On the Bus, Off the Bus. That's right. Die-hard liberals, environmentalists, and wankers galore cannot decide if they want the oil or not. So now it's up for debate prior to the new tariffs that are coming to hurt us all. Tisk, tisk, tisk. What would they think of Ness? Plus, something from Pierre Poilievre, a good positive message. All that and more come to the podcast. Please stick around. Listener viewer discretion is advised because I will swear, smoke cigarettes, and make fun of the politicians as always. Okay, see you in a bit.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Oh, yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthy.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues, and life. Here's Crusty.
And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 338, Cresting Up Podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. And do not forget, this episode is brought to you in part by and supported by Veterans for Freedom. That's right. It's Veterans for Freedom Stand 2. And coming soon, Veterans for Freedom TV. That's right. Like-minded individuals such as myself and other podcasters out there will try to collaborate and make a great network for you all out there, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. And just a reminder, too, if you like and hear what you see, click like and subscribe and share this content all of your social media platforms, too. I want to say thank you out there to some of the fine comments I've had in my last episode in regards to the whole pipeline thing and Quebec's sovereignty and all that, too. 337 there. No pipeline, but we like the cash. But thank you to all the supporters out there and even the people that have weighed in and took Quebec's side. Thank you. Dialogue is what we do. That's what we should do. Regardless of who agrees or not, dialogue is what we should do. Now, just to reiterate about the whole thing, I don't believe any province in this country or any territory in this country deserves special treatment in regards to how much money they should receive from one resource to the next. Okay? That's just me, though. Okay. Now, there are some Quebecers I have spoken to that are really passionate about getting extra oil money, but then their government doesn't want to develop their own resources other than, what they can get their hands on. So basically, big government calls the shots. And I know there's a lot of Quebecers out there, and I've seen the stats. There's about 73 to 74% of them that want pipelines to bring the economy up to a certain level. But I'll leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. Anyhow, on the bus, off the bus. So, Jonathan Wilkinson, Mr. Energy Minister, or I think Mr. Environment Minister, and Francois Champagne, the lawyer. My buddy Ryan from Northern Perspective is a pretty good impression of him. They're contemplating, they want to bring oil. Now, they're all for bringing the pipelines and all this. And I've mentioned this before. So let's get a few things straight here. Okay. It's funny how it takes a national panic. It takes a national panic for our government to wake the fuck up to see the light of day, okay? To bring more money into this country, okay? Because the Trudeau government has done nothing but increase the government by making it bigger. And it's a typical liberal tactic to say, oh, we've created jobs. We've created jobs. We've created all these jobs. We've created all these fantastic jobs. Yes, we've made the kitty even that much bigger for government employees, okay? Now, I don't have any videos here, but I heard some rumblings today about CUPE, the Canadian Union of Public Employees, wanting to nationalize things. Okay? Think about that. Any kind of union that wants to nationalize things to save money is not worrying about the people that support these programs. They're worried about themselves. So basically, it's borderline fucking communism, right? So when you get these ass clowns talking about how we have to nationalize things, I'd be a little scary. Now, I'll probably get a report on that sometime later, not in this episode. I'm trying to focus on the whole contradiction that the Liberal Party has promoted in regards to oil production in this country and getting it to market, and all the excuses and the tomfoolery and the buffoonery that has been dropped in our laps as the Canadian taxpayers. Okay. Now, here's a couple of stories I will put up here. There's a video I'll have with Mr. Champagne, Frankie Bubbles. He's a lawyer. Look out. Right. And the contradiction that Mr. Wilkinson says, because when I remember looking up Mr. Wilkinson, he has some kind of investment or desire interest into biomass. Now, for those of you who don't understand what biomass is, it's basically burning of deadfall and old wood and that kind of thing. Something they could have done in Jasper prior to the fire they had last year. Anyway, I'm digressing. So here's a story from a Financial Post written about 6 hours ago today, and it's from Megan Potkin. So I'll read some of that for you, and I'll leave it my link for you guys to decide too on what you think is substantial or not in this country we call Canada. But you're seeing a lot of this buffoonery coming through the woodwork as we speak, right? Because you're not seeing any real diehard efforts coming from the government. This is all panic. Like they had years and years to do this since 2015, right? So West-East pipeline sentiment shifts as Trump says desire to absorb Canada is real. Now, as far as our government is concerned, Donald Trump is serious about making Canada the 51st state, but I might do an episode on that later. But for now, let's just ponder this article here and see what the wankers in Ottawa have to say. So, persistent talk of reviving plans to build oil pipeline to Eastern Canada, particularly from quarters previously received as opposed to such projects, has caught many in the oil patch by surprise, though it may be gaining favor in the face of Donald Trump's repeated exhortations that Canada become an American state. Now, the rules of the game have changed over the last few days. Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne said during a CTV question period interview Sunday when asked whether he would support a pipeline through Quebec, quote unquote, and that may mean we need to be able to preserve, to have transmission lines that could bring electricity east, west. That may mean you need pipelines that would go west, east, he said. So I guess, a trade. That's an idea going in paper, but I'm sick and tired of the Liberals' plans. We got these plans. They're full of shit. Anyway, Champagne said Canada cannot be dependent on one country for its exports. Well, duh. Did we not talk about this before? Oh, one country. Yeah, open up the markets, wankers. I think people understand better now the nexus between energy security, economic security, and I would even say national security, he said. Well, see, there's another thing too. But plenty of ill feeling still lingers in the oil patch from the collapse of the Energy East pipeline project, first proposed in 2013 by TransCanada Corp, now TC Energy Corp, which would have converted and extended a stretch of the company's existing Canadian main line for natural gas to carry crude from Western Canada to St. John. So what I will do, ladies and gentlemen, I will leave this article in the description for your viewing pleasure, okay? And then you can decide from there, all right? A couple of conversations I had back and forth today with some Quebecers who didn't like my podcast in regards to being favorites. It's like, if you want more money, open up the pipelines. Right. And I'll leave a link to the Indian Resources Council, too, because they have some great ideas. I talked to a Stephen Buffalo there a few years ago prior to my campaign for the Veterans Coalition Party, and he had some great ideas for all of Canada. OK, so the people that are still on the fence, sitting on their hands, worrying about gas and the environment. OK, do you honestly think electricity is going to save your life when it comes to the politics of winter in this country? Today at work, it was minus 32. Minus 32. Okay, my American friends, that's about a minus 28. Okay, that's damn cold. Okay, that's damn effing cold. So don't talk to me about electricity and renewables when it's that bloody cold, because you all know as well as I do, that is next to impossible to stay warm in if you don't have proper heating, such as natural gas. Now, I've had people say to me, well, Europe doesn't want crude oil, and Europe is, not demanding as much fossil fuel or demanding as much LNG, because a lot of these countries have had to revert back to coal because of some of their wind ideas and renewable ideas. And it's gone to shit. And now they're eating crow, and the rest of the country wants Alberta to eat crow. Oh, talk about fairness, eh? That's equality for you, right? I guess the Liberals were really wrong. Dead wrong.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, you're back to episode 338 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. On the bus, off the bus. Of course, the Liberals want to do oil, but they just can't decide which is going to be beneficial for their fucking pockets. That's what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen. It comes to the interest of a handful of politicians that cannot decide what they want to do. And yet they fail to realize that they're representing you and I, regardless if they're this party or that party or with this party or this group, okay? And now they're deciding which is good. They had 9 years to decide. When they bought that pipeline, they had 9 years. And they put in legislation, Bill C-69, the anti-pipeline law, law, big words, Crusty, okay? And all this time, and they could not see this coming. See, it's a classic example of not thinking ahead, thinking about longevity, right? It adds more to that Canadian arrogance I talked about a few episodes ago, where, oh, no, it'll fix itself. The budget will balance itself. Oh, this will fix itself. Oh, they'll defend us. They'll help us. They'll back us up. No, we've got to be a self-sufficient nation because we have the resources, we have the manpower, and the know-how to do it. The problem is you've got too much red tape calling the shots. You've got too much red tape bozos counting the beans that they didn't earn, that they didn't make, but they want to distribute it out here and help this out and help that out. Some ridiculous budgets. All the more reasons for us to have our own version of the Doge, Department of Government Expenses, which is going to be beneficial for the Canadian government later on down the road, which is going to be benefit to the Canadian taxpayer. I'm all for social programs, but I'm also for reality too. Okay. What's going to help us in the long run? What's going to help us in the future? Right? Are we going to benefit by constantly worrying about electricity? Well, if we need electricity, then we build a better grid. We have to build something that's going to generate enough of that electricity. Nuclear. There's an idea. Ooh. Now, I know there's probably some people sitting there creaming their jeans, crunching their boots, going, oh my God, how dare you talk about nuclear? Nuclear is clean, especially the can-do reactors this country can build, right? But the way this government operates, they'll put a plan together. Oh, we'll get this done in about 5 years. Oh, we'll get this done in about 6 years, okay? Now, Pierre Poilievre made a point when he was in Iqaluit today, in Nunavut there, the capital city of Nunavut, in one of our territories. And he proposed that we're going to get two new icebreakers, okay, for the Royal Canadian Navy, not to mention what the Coast Guard's going to have too, but 2 new ships. And if elected, they'll probably be ready by 2029. Now, that's 4 years from now. To me, that's way too late. And the Liberal plan to update our military to a proper 2% GDP, they said it'd be ready by 2032. So, that's 7 years. So you got to stop trusting this hearsay. You got to stop trusting this hearsay all the time, right? That's what's getting scary. And that's right. Carrying on. Sorry for the little interruption there, ladies and gentlemen. All these 3 or 4 year plans are inadequate. We have the resources to build these ships. We have the resources to get the oil to market. It's all the more reasons now to shit or get off the pot, basically. That's what we have to do, right? And it's up to us, the Canadian people, the Canadian taxpayer, to really stick to the government and say, we got to do this right now. No more time to wait. No more time to waste. Enough is enough is enough. Like, I'm still flabbergasted how it has to take a U.S. president, right? Okay. And Americans and Canadians are similar when it comes to trade, culture, ideology. We both love our democracy. We love our sports. We get along just fine. But it's these clowns in the government. They're trying to talk tough, and yet got nothing to back it up with, right? Basically bring a knife to a gunfight. And yet that knife is really dull, and it was probably made by somebody else because they never had the resources to make it them fucking selves.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Anyhow, carrying on with episode 338 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. On the bus, off the bus. It's an old little military term we used to use. You get on here and come back. Change your mind, change your mind, change your mind. And that's what the Liberal Party has been doing in this country now. While all these Liberal supporters are sitting there waiting for the glory that's supposed to come from Mr. Blarney Mark Carney, okay, we are missing out on an opportunity here, ladies and gentlemen. And I highly suggest we take advantage of it too. So all my listeners out there, please, if you're liking what you see, click like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share this comments, Share this all over your social media platforms and give me a comment, give me a thumbs up, all that good stuff. But get a hold of your MPs too while you're doing that. Let them know how you really fucking feel. Anyway, here's another article from the ABC, that I don't really like using too much. Okay. But this comes from Jonathan Wilkinson, Mr. Biomass, Mr. Oil is terrible, oil is bad. But now he's kind of having a change of face here. Okay. He's having a real hard time, a real change of face here when it comes to understanding, reality. Okay. And I'll put the article here and I'll read some of it for you. And I'll leave it in my description as always, ladies and gentlemen, for you to understand here. Okay. And what gets me is the CBC is actually saying this too, because they too were against the oil for the longest time. Then they realize, if Pierre Poilievre gets in, they're going to cut the funding. So that means no more tax dollars for you and your subpar fucking broadcasting, right? But here's something from the CBC politics page. Okay. And I'll read this along here for you. Okay. So Canada should discuss West East oil pipeline now that American relationship has changed, says the minister. Okay. Canada reliance on the U.S. to move oil and gas has created uncertainty, Wilkinson says. You think, Buckeye? Okay. Natural Resources Minister Jonathan Wilkinson said Thursday the country should weigh building a new east-west oil pipeline after President Trump threatened tariffs expose what he's calling a vulnerability in energy infrastructure. Well, like I said, you guys had 10 years to sort out infrastructure, and you canceled a lot of projects in the name of virtue, in the name of lining your pockets in the green scheme and WEF, all that good stuff. So speaking to reporters after spending the week in Washington pitching American lawmakers on the value of Canada-U.S. trade relationship, Wilkinson said some parts of Canada, namely Ontario and Quebec, are dependent on oil pipelines that move through the U.S. to meet their needs. And there has to be some hard conversations about whether that's sustainable given what may transpire during a possible Trump trade war and beyond. Enbridge Line 5, which moves Western Canadian oil across the continent and down through Michigan into Sarnia, Ontario, is a critical piece of energy infrastructure that operates at the whim of Americans. At least in part, even before Trump re-entered the scene, Michigan's Democratic governor tried to shut it down. Line 5 feeds refineries that produce about half of Ontario and Quebec's fuel needs, everything from jet fuel to Toronto's Pearson Airport, and gas for home heating. Gas for home heating. Okay? So I'm not going to play the video of him. He's just, this man annoys me because he's very condescending, kind of like Freeland. He doesn't tilt his head like a dog, mind you, but I don't find this man genuine. I don't find him genuine at all. But I'll leave this article in here for you wonderful people to decide and to look at your leisure. And we can go from there, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Now, I was going to queue up a video here. Well, actually, I still can, I think, here. But we're not stupid. Okay. To my Canadian viewers, we're not stupid. To my American viewers, you're not stupid. Okay. And I have to weigh in on this whole thing about booing at the anthems at our hockey games and everything, too. Now, my wife and I, we actually watched part of the Super Bowl last night. Okay. Now, I'm not a big American football fan. Once in a while, I watch the CFL, Canadian Football League, once in a while. But I kind of grew up on a lot of hockey and soccer and baseball. So I remember the 85 Jays very well. I remember the 84 Oilers and the 85 Oilers. And I remember hockey in its heyday. And I also remember watching a couple of Grey Cup games, too, when I was younger with my old man. He's a big Argonauts fan. But to make a long story short, I wasn't thoroughly impressed with the entertainment at the Super Bowl. Now, I was happy with Philadelphia kicking ass, taking names. They had a great score. They had a great offense and one hell of a defense, too. And their speed was just fucking phenomenal. So well done, Philadelphia Eagles, on your victory. Okay. But I didn't really like the halftime show because everybody gets hyped the halftime show, and I just didn't find it that entertaining. Kind of like our politics. It's not entertaining anymore. It's pissing people off. It's getting people really mad, and Canadians are unsure. Now, the funny thing is that our politicians aren't really assuring us of anything. What are they assuring us of? Okay. When you look at the likes of Jonathan Wilkinson, he hasn't assured us of shit. He's just talking points. What's the prime minister doing right now? He's in France with fucking moron Macron, talking about ways to help. European market has been open for a long time, and Justin's just clinging to that now? Huh? Really? Not the brightest light in the house, is he? So he's actually probably taking some initiative and actually starting to try to be a leader. Okay. But every candidate that I see running for the Liberal brand is not a leader. It's just some anointed twat or some twat waffle. I don't find them to be very, very informative. I don't find them to be very, very helpful, especially in this time of uncertainty. Okay. So when it comes to booing the anthem, come on, Canada, show some respect. Now, when I was in my 20s and I was full of arrogance and full of piss and vinegar, young, dumb, full of cum, okay, there were times we would disenfranchise the Americans for what they would say. Some Americans disenfranchise us for what we would say and do too. But throughout my whole life, there was never any booing of the anthem. There was respect. And regardless of how you feel about Donald Trump or how you feel about our prime minister, you got to respect the country's anthem. Okay. And all these ass whippets that talk about what they're going to do in retaliation, they have all had a hand in compromising this country's well-being. From borrowing money, printing money, to giving money away, to spending money on stories, spending money on gender, spending money on plays, spending money on things that this country doesn't need. They have started this problem. They have created the monsters we see before us. Okay. And what are we learning from it? Now you may ask yourself, what's a blue collar person like myself going to do about it? Well, you've got a pen, right? That's a start. You got a telephone. That's a start. You've got a printer. You got a PC at home. That's a start. You've got this too, a mouth and a heart and a head. That's a great start. What you do is up to you. And I would hate to see this country turn into a violent mess because of opinions. I would rather see people standing on guard for thee because they believe in this nation. Okay? Nothing wrong with nation building. Nothing wrong with loving your country. But I would have to say that our liberty is going to be on hold for a bit because the government still cannot make a sound decision. They're too worried about what pieces of the pie that this group can get and what that group can get. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it just sounds like a real poop show every time we turn around. I've said this numerous times before. What do these individuals that are calling the shots for us really deserve?
Absolutely nothing.
And then some. Okay. So we can sit here all day and discuss the pros and cons of this and what, the liberals are doing for us and all this. And, look at what we're doing here now. And Yagmeet Singh on his little rant about getting at Elon Musk. It's like, buddy, look after your constituents. Okay. Stop worrying about what Elon has to say. Okay. You've got a riding to look after, Yagmeet. You've got a party to look after, Yagmeet. Okay. You're losing popularity. So maybe you should look after your career, just like you look after your pension. Make whatever excuse you can to hold on for whatever power you've got left. Because that's dwindling. We can see it. We can see it in the results. And I hope it comes soon.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you're back to the podcast. I'm going to play a few moments of this little video that came from Frankie Bubbles there. And I know you guys decide again to see if he's genuine. I don't believe anything he has to say. I don't believe anything they have to say at all. I don't believe anything that's coming out of their mouths. A lot of it's probably just lip service as far as we know. But when they talk about Canada's moment to shine, they've had more than enough moments to shine for this country. And they've embarrassed us. How else do you dress it up? They've embarrassed us, ladies and gentlemen. But like I said, you decide. And let me know in the comments what you think about this. Right.
This week, bringing together leaders in business, trade, public policy, and organized labor.
We are in a moment that we have to meet for Canadians to see not just how we get through this particular challenge over the next 30 days or few months, but how we get through and thrive and grow stronger over the next 4 years and into what may be a more challenging long-term political situation with the United States.
François-Philippe Champagne is Minister of Industry. He joins us from that summit. Minister, it's good to have you back on the show. Thank you for making the time.
Well, thank you very much. It's a very big day here in Toronto. I would say this is Canada's moment. As you said, you have business leaders, you have labor union leaders, Indigenous leaders. This is really Canada coming together to be more resilient, to be more ambitious, to present to the world a confident Canada, so that we can attract investment, diversify our economy, and make sure that in these uncertain times that we can restore confidence.
And I do think Canadians have been very comforted to hear that from politicians at all levels of government over the past few days in particular, and all different political stripes. I think they're also wondering if this is just rhetoric or if it will turn into more. And my question to you as Minister of Industry, someone who has led, been an integral part to developing this country's industrial and economic policy over the last number of years, is why are we only now talking about the kind of diversification you mentioned? Why did it take a crisis to get us here? And why should Canadians trust your government to implement something they could have over the past 10 years?
Well, the rules of the game has changed. I mean, that's what's happening over the last few days, or the last few months. I think Canadians realize that it's kind of a C.D. Howe moment. C.D. Howe, which was the Minister of Industry in 1945, which basically rebuilt the industrial landscape in Canada, where we said, making planes, making cars, making ships, bringing Canada into the modern industrial age. And I think it's kind of one of those moments where people say things that may have looked difficult before are now possible.
Well, you shouldn't think, Frankie. You should know, right? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it at that. I will leave this video in the description for you, and you can follow along your leisure. Sometimes his voice just drives me up the effing wall. Another disingenuous politician, just like Chrystia Freeland, Wilkinson, Guilbeault, and of course, our beloved Prime Minister, right? We're not seeing dedication. We're seeing panic. You can tell they're panicking. And like Vasi said there, Canadians are now reassured. No, we're not reassured. We don't trust you. Okay. I'm not speaking for all of Canada here, but I'm speaking for Canadians that have actually said online and in the papers and in the polls how they really feel. We don't trust you, Liberal Party. You're going to screw this up. Really. So you can sit there and do what ifs and talk up a great game and talk through your mouth and just give us lip service. But what has been done with the border issue so far? The Prime Minister said $1.3 billion invested over 6 years. Well, you've got a month. Well, actually, you got like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to be safe. Okay. So what's being done then? A couple of helicopters, some drones, some boots in the ground. Where do you find these boots in the ground? Where? Huh? Where is it? It's not here. Like, there's a lot of things that you've left off to the last minute. A lot of things you put aside, a lot of things you never worried about. And every Liberal member of cabinet is guilty for this. Every elected official that has represented some portfolio, one way or the other, from shameful Seamus O'Regan to Catherine McKenna. Where's the money, Catherine? Remember her? Someone said a dirty word in her office one day because they were just pissed off at her. And she got all mad and became a victim because, oh my God, sexism. When she was actually, represented that word very well because she just didn't do her job. Right? Ever since 2015, we've seen cabinet shuffle, conspiracy, scandal, money gone, money here, money there, but nothing for Canada. And then every lame-ass excuse for us not to have this. Every lame-ass excuse for us not to do this. Every lame-ass excuse for us not to progress and to earn our spot in the world as a excellent, outstanding G7 nation. Look at the drug issue that's happening here. What's being done about that? All right. Oh, it's no big deal. Oh no, there's only 20 pounds here or 30 pounds there. Well, you're not dealing with marijuana. You're dealing with fentanyl. A little more lethal. Cause a little more death and pain and suffering. But it's being brought into Canada via what? Via truck, via ship. From where? Huh? Should I say the magic word? Rhymes with Rhina. Rhymes with Rhina. So when I look at this government sitting there telling us all these wonderful things, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, it's nothing but lip service. Okay. And we got to smarten up. On the bus, off the bus. They can't decide. Oh, well, we're not sure about this, or we're not sure about that. We're not sure about this, not sure about that. Oh, we'll do this, or we'll do that. I'll believe it when I see it. Like I said about Pierre Poilievre's comments when he was in Iqaluit there, when he talked about, getting the Navy on the go. Okay. 4 years. That's assuming he's elected, let's say in April or May. Okay. It's going to take 4 years. Not good enough. We have the industry and we have the capacity to get things built, to get things done. So cut the interprovincial trading barriers and get things back and forth. Proper exchange from province to province. Open up the markets to the world. Oh, but Crusty, that's easier said than done. Well, the more you try, the more you do it, the easier it's going to be, right? Well, then what do I know? Well, just wasting our fucking time, right? Anyway, I've been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 10th of February, 2025. It's still cold out there, ladies and gentlemen, so make sure you're plugging your vehicles, stay warm. For those of you working outside, you know what to do. Bundle up, stay hydrated, get some hot drinks into you, get some hot food into you, and just keep your wits about you this too. The last thing you want to do is go down with frostbite. It's not pretty, right? And for those individuals that work inside, just make sure your vehicles are plugged in. You're warm and ready to rock and roll. And like I say, ladies and gentlemen, do what you can just to be good to each other in the meantime. Keep level-headed. Try not to be violent. Try not to blow a gasket. Just try to be civil. And we shall overcome this and get through this the best of our ability, ladies and gentlemen. Right? And like I say, look at each other in these trying times. Don't be shy if you need a hand. And don't be shy to give a hand if you need one too. Anyway, this episode song, it comes from a man called Antti Martikainen. He's actually a computer composer, and he does a really kick-ass Celtic metal track called Lords of Iron. So listen to that at your leisure. It's pretty rocking. It's got some very, very Celtic background to it. And to me, it's just an excellent musical tune. It's just an excellent instrumental. So at your leisure, ladies and gentlemen, if you feel like rocking out and taking a long drive, play this track. It's very inspirational. So I'll leave the link to his webpage, and I'll leave the track there in the description for you to listen to, ladies and gentlemen. Anyhow, like I said, I've been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 10th of February, 2025. I've been more than grateful for your presence. Thank you very much, especially the comments. If you see this live, give me a thumbs up, give me a comment or two. Let me know where you're writing from, and we'll go from there. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.